So maybe some tips and maybe some examples on things to look out for if you're, again, this person that's like, hey, dude, like I need some gear. I want some gear, right? And maybe it's a holster. Maybe it's a chest rig. Maybe it's a plate carrier. Maybe it's a new sling. It's all these kind of things. Base plates, there's back plates, there's triggers, there's stuff that I'm looking at. There's so many things, right? There's so many things. And there are influencers out there and there are companies that are, again, doing a pretty good job at getting this stuff to market. But maybe some tips. And one of the things you said is if you're watching a company just get really big, really fast, not that you should be worried, but you might just be a little bit more cautious is what I heard you say. Like maybe ask a few more questions, like really pay attention to, or maybe slow down your buying or purchasing decision with those huge companies are getting so huge, or those companies are getting so huge so fast till you kind of see where this thing goes. As maybe one example or one tip. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that. I don't know if there's really a way around that. I mean, I don't want to badmouth people that are running fucking great businesses and are having banner years and are still doing a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I would say that something that I've taken a step back personally and started doing, like I've said before, I'm a civilian. I don't have any military law enforcement background. I 100% value the things that they bring to the table. And I also think that everybody should value what the civilians bring to the table, because ultimately without civilians, none of these companies would exist, period. Without military and law enforcement, they'd still exist.
You're right.
Civilians is what they need.
Absolutely.
We pay the bills, dude.
That's who's growing these businesses.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I see things like there's a company like I've already referenced earlier, not going to say the name, if they're driving a fucking $100,000 car and like a sports car, and like I said, I personally know like enough people to count on both hands that they've screwed over on like wait times and then handing like influencers products, that's a red flag to me.
Instead of you getting your product,
you see what they're posting, like, oh yeah, I just pulled up in my new fucking GTR. Yeah. Sick, dude. Cool. Where the fuck is my slide? You know what I mean?
That's valid. If you're gonna put your shit out there. Right?
Yeah, if you're going to flex on the internet, dude. Right. So that's something I look at. Another thing I look at is like Haley Strategic, right? That's a company that I think has always been very innovative. As far as I know, none of their products they've come out with have been like below average. Anything I've purchased from them, whether it's soft goods or like the little CAG grip, has always been an upgrade. I've never had complaints. They're not always in stock, but they restock at a smooth time. Like I'm never waiting like months on end. Like I might wait 4 weeks for the exact color I want of fucking plate carrier stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That guy also has shown with videos over the last like decade or whatever, Magpul vids. He's also showed over time, not only where he's been in his life, but him fucking on the range and explaining why he develops things. To me, I'm not some Haley fanboy. I highly value that company. I don't even have a lot of their stuff. I have like maybe 4 or 5 items, but my point is, to me, that says like a good company. I don't know how many units they're pushing out all the time, but I mean, anybody in this space pretty much knows Haley Strategic, and it was in a zombie movie recently. Mm. So they're doing pretty good. Mm. Right. And I haven't heard anybody getting screwed over by their company. So to me, that would be like, I'm checking off all these boxes. Like, what's his background? He's showing he can walk the walk. This is his rationale for making these new items. He actually spent a long time to come out with his own fucking plate carrier because he wanted it to be done right. To me, that sounds like he cares. And then when you hear the man speak, like, I feel like there's conviction in his voice. Right.
Look, I mean, your gut's probably not wrong.
Yeah. So like, that's a company I would go to. I don't go for them for everything. I like the stuff I do buy from them. Right. Like they make the Haley Surefire light. I think it's solid. It's not below average. It's not my jam personally. I think it does exactly the same thing that a Surefire X300 does, except I can put that on and off my light. Mm-hmm. So it's not an upgrade to me. The reason why I bring that up is because they don't only make gold. They make some stuff that's just okay too. Right. But I feel like there's a reason behind everything. They try new things with quality. Right. And then like T-Rex arms.
Yeah, I think it's a big one, man.
Yeah, like, that's a civilian.
Love him or hate him, they're doing a great job out there. And I know Lucas is sort of the face of that whole thing, but they have a really good team out there. It's clear,
dude. They do. So like, They're a civilian ran company, homeschooled kids. Okay. So that's already like, when you hear homeschooled kids, you're already like, oh, they're probably kind of weird.
Oh, they're weirdos. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, they're those.
You can hear all three of the brothers talk though. And they all are weird in their own way, but they're all intelligent people. They're well thought out. And so like, I'd say Lucas is probably the most like, you know, outspoken, like he'll just say shit on the fly and offend people. But most of the time, like even when he offends somebody, I'm like, shit, that was right. I'd rather you offend somebody and say something right instead of like keeping that to yourself and no one's calling these people out. You know what I mean? I don't like Lucas's stance on fitness. I think he's like actually stupid when it comes to that stuff. But T-Rex Arms is 100% who I strive to be, because guess how many American jobs they created? I think they're at 80 right now.
That's great.
Created American jobs.
Right.
They don't make everything in America, but they make everything that they can in America
And they
in
don't
America.
And they don't just do their own stuff. They sell other people's stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then they push like Hesco plates.
The stuff that they believe in. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. They push Hesco, Surefire.
And if they're doing that at the reputation of their own company with their own products, that is a sign again that's a sign that it could either be a red flag, they're desperate, but if you know and you let me check this out, let me see what other products is he selling, what other products is he repping here. When you go to those products and you go, shit, these things check out. I mean, these are good companies. But at the same time, he'll be really honest about what he likes and what he doesn't like about those products.
I'll tell you right now, JP as an individual appreciates the fact that he'll straight up say, I don't like this company because of A, moral reasons, or B, their product is not good.
He's being honest. Yeah.
I appreciate that in the world we live in. You know what I mean? So that's who you want to buy from, right? Like I said, he has his mistakes. He doesn't do a lot of like force on force or any MMA stuff. So he doesn't know like the shit that I've ran into at like Rogue Methods, where people are pulling a whole ass holster out when they try to unholster a gun because they're wrestling with somebody. That's why you get like the steel clips. That's why you get different clips for wrestling around with a gun. He's never done that, so he wouldn't know that. But I'd say 90% of the shit he does do is solely like he might solely be the reason why like all these nerdy fucking American people who have money have all of a sudden just purchased thousands of dollars, plate carriers, body armor, nods. He's making it cool to be a fucking civilian, and he's taking all the backlash for it. And
he's kind of the whipping boy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the industry as a whole, if you manufacture ammunition, firearms, gear, fucking nods, clothing, whatever, it's like the fit. You owe him a huge debt of gratitude because he's selling your shit, whether he's directly selling it or not. He's
the CrossFit of fucking.
That's exactly what I was just going to compare it to. That I had to kind of tie myself out there. That as a gym owner, as hard a time as I had with CrossFit, right? When it first kind of started as a coach, because I just saw a lot of the bad end of it. There was so much good that came with CrossFit, right? And it's still there, right? You take the good with the bad, but I had such an issue with it. But at the end of the day, like I owe them a huge debt of gratitude for getting so many people fucking fired up and back into fitness again, or ever, right? Getting them educated, getting them, feeling compelled to take care of themselves, all this great stuff, right? So I think it's the same. I think you can compare what's going on there. Love him or hate him, you should be thanking him.
Yeah, right? He's not perfect, but guess what? Without CrossFit, Rogue Fitness wouldn't be this American company that owns the entire fitness equipment industry, right? And they're innovative. They're building better bikes and shit like that, right? We wouldn't have them without CrossFit. We wouldn't have nods and plate carriers on all of our buddies that we work out with at the gym that aren't military and law enforcement, just because they want to go hiking with it. Yeah. We wouldn't have that without fucking T-Rex Arms. Sure. So like, I don't care what he said about anybody, as long as he's not talking about your family. Like, dude, we need to like strive to have more companies like that are creating American jobs and bringing things to America to produce when it's possible. Dude, he did like a buyback or like a massive discount code for anything that was made in Mexico on accident for his plate carrier. Like he actually started a lawsuit and everything for one of his manufacturers that was claiming is US made and then made it in Mexico. And I've seen one of the Mexican ones, the AC Unos, no different. It wasn't any better or any worse, but because morally he didn't like that. Right. So he gave you money back.
I think there's obviously a lot to be said for that. And again, love him or hate him, that is an example of a company that I would want to do business with as both a business owner and a consumer, for all the reasons that you just said there. And again, if you don't know who that is, then it's not hard to find out when you do some research on them or on T-Rex, and you're going to find all kinds of stuff. And one of the things they do really well, which is something you mentioned that I think good product manufacturers and distributors or product companies are doing right now. The good ones are spending time making sure they're informing the consumer of what it is that they have, what it is that they've done, why it is that they've done it, and who it is that they are and how they came up with it. Like why is what I'm telling you relevant? What is my background to be able to tell you these things, whether you're civilian, law enforcement, military, or whatever. They're spending time doing that. They're not being obscure about it. They're not being kind of like on the fringes, on the edges, or ambiguous about it. They're really upfront. They are backing their product in one way or another. And again, you might not necessarily like the person doing it as a personality or whatever else. I see some of these guys doing it, and it's pretty dry. But at the same time, like, God, like, it is pretty compelling. Like, they have this background, so they have kind of a resume, which is, that's not everything, but it is a good place to start with a lot of specific products, right? Depending on what it is you're going to buy. I'll give you an example. Like, for example, if I was going to buy like a plate carrier, a chest rig, I would want to make sure that who I was purchasing that thing from a design and product development perspective, somebody that spent a lot of time in a fucking chest rig and a plate carrier in kind of all conditions, training, like before they were even potentially an operator or a law enforcement officer or whatever, training in it so that they know what it's like for the new person to be putting this thing on, not having to figure it out, after the fact, but I've trained in this thing. I've worked in this thing. I've failed in this thing. I've succeeded in this thing, or, with these other types of brands or things that I was made to wear because it was agency or department policy that I'd wear this, and I had to modify it, or we found that this didn't work, or we really hated this, or we really like that. Bringing those things to the table, I think is helpful for me as a consumer, especially as a new person, and being able to, as we were talking about the other day and a couple of other things, just bringing awareness to the table of, hey, is this relevant to me? Because maybe I'm looking down the wrong path here. Again, am I just shopping based on price? Am I shopping based on the fact that influencer is wearing it in that video over there? Or, it seems to be pretty, or all the guys out at the range are wearing it? Or am I buying it practically to work for me? So again, plate carriers, chest rigs, then, where's it being made?
Yeah.
So you just did all this product, development on it and all this testing, and you have this great story behind it, and this is very smart, but where is it being manufactured, and how are you making sure that all the things that you just told me are actually what's in the end product? And I think that's important for people to realize, because I think, go back to your example about the holster, like, that seems very off from the particular brand. I happen to know who that is. It seems very off from the brand. So what happened there? They just put their stamp on somebody else's fucking holster, and they're not checking quality control. Why? Because they have nothing to do with it. They have zero to do with it. So where is that actually being manufactured, and how is it then coming back to market and then putting in the consumer's hands? I want to know that the person or the people or the company that I'm buying it from is taking measures, and if they're doing that, they're going to be talking about it, because it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of finance to control or to be part of all of those parts of the process. And if they're doing that, they're going to be proud of it. They're going to talk to you about it. If they're not, red flag. So
what's interesting about you saying that? I want to talk a little bit more about like backgrounds on people, because that company that we're talking about with the holster is like started from like a military background, right? And like I said, great name. They still have a great name. Now, T-Rex Arms, I've owned multiple holsters from them and only one from this other company. And not one of their holsters has failed on me. And it's one of my top 2 favorite holsters, T-Rex Arms. Like I said, I mean, for like the Rogue Methods courses, maybe it's not my go-to, but pretty much everything else, I would say that it's fast, good retention, comfortable, all that good stuff, right? But what's interesting about that is one company is selling their background, and one company has 10,000 hours of training on fucking YouTube. That's in the last 5 years. So don't tell me what you did. Tell me what you're doing.
Do what we're doing. Yeah. I
Right?
agree with you 100%.
So like, where are we putting our money? Who are we giving it to? And why? Why? I'm not taking away people's background. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you personally from my life, 8 years ago, I never fucking deadlifted in my life. Right? But in the last 8 years, you can hear how much experience I've gathered and how much I'm trying to apply that to my life and everybody around me, and how much influence I'm trying to have in a positive way, right? In the last 8 years. I don't want to fucking hear about 20 years ago, 15 years ago. That doesn't mean that doesn't exist. That just means that that's old.
It's dated.
It's dated, right? It doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything. It just, that's why I'm saying T-Rex amazes me, because like 80 fucking American employees, dude. And like somehow the guy still has time to manage product development.
Oh, he's manic. That's for sure. I love that about
It's crazy.
him.
It's crazy to me, dude.
He's going all the way to the top, right? I mean,
so again, look, like, I mean, with social media, Instagram, YouTube, you can see what these people are doing with their time, dude. And if these people are selling you some shit with like one promo video and they don't have a ton of video to back it up, that's why I love telling people shit, because guess what? I have a library of the last 16 months. I can tell you like, oh yeah, that's interesting because I've ran that light and here's a video of me running that light. I like that. And I didn't get that on my own. I got that because T-Rex Arms paved the way for that type of business model. Right. So again, that's where I like to put my money. I don't spend I actually don't even own that much T-Rex stuff. Now that I think about it, I have an AC1 and I have like a ton of holsters.
I have a sling.
I think that's all I have from them.
I have a sling. That's
but
all I have.
Again, I'm a fan of the business model, the amount of education. Dude, they put a full rifle course on their website for free viewing.
That's smart.
I think that's amazing. They're not hiding anything.
They're not keeping anything too tight to the chest. And I think that's another tip is to, if they're keeping everything obscure and too tight to the chest or very tight to the chest, you can learn more about this by subscribing to our Patreon. That's a fucking red flag. Like you can't, we're doing this secret lease, be on this particular video conference or whatever to find out more about it. I get how they're marketing, but why is it like that? Mm-hmm. Is it that exclusive? Is that I have to, it's like you have to be part of some secret society in order to get part of it. All right. So go all the way back to the FOMO person, the person that always has to have the fresh new gear. If that's what you like to do, then fucking by all means chase that company around. I'd just be questioning, like, if they're keeping the things that secret, like why are they keeping it under wraps, and what's going on? If you mentioned the term, I think the other night, gatekeeping, in a particular area, are they doing that because they're trying to protect themselves? Because if they do have a really great product, and again, you've brought up T-Rex as an example here, they talk about everything and why you wouldn't want this product and why you would want this other product, whether it's theirs or somebody else's, based on the application. Like, hey, let's just get it all out there. So if they're not talking about that and it seems like it's like a secret society, fucking red flag.